For this week's quiz, I need to calculate distance and midpoints from the origin to 10 places I wanted to go. 1 unit, which is 1 square, is equal to 50 miles. And I started in Texas. This is a drawing that I did. And here, this is a total distance at the end, like from the units that were traveled. And first, I need to do from the first point that I started to my second location. And to get that, first I needed to get their, they are located in the graph. So I got x1 and y1, x2 and y2. The first one from McAllen, where I started, and the second one from where I'm going. And I need to use a formula, this one, to calculate distance. So I did it and I solved it, and at the end I got this. And then to get the distance, I needed to convert into the units and like the miles that were traveled. So 4 times 50, that was the number of miles that 1 unit is 200. And for midpoint, I did the same, just with the other formula. And I had to get x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. And I solved it, adding them, dividing them by 2, and I got this. So on day 1, I started our trip to Louisiana. We went through the highway that is located near the border of Texas. The midpoint for the gas stop was still in Texas at the answer that was 2,0. So in here, from here to here. And for the rest, I did the same, but where I ended, which was Louisiana, was now where I started in the second one. So the same, instead of having x2 and y2, I changed them into x1 and y1, and my next stop was Arkansas. So I got their slopes, and I did the distance formula, and got the answer, and multiplied to get the miles. Then did the same for midpoint, like the last problem, and here was my explanation, and here, like here it is. So yes, like the midpoint, and it was like the answer was in a decimal, but like, so I wrote it like that. And now for day 3, I did the same as the last problem, but now I started in Arkansas. Instead of being x2 and y2, I changed it to x1 and y1, and my next stop was Mississippi. So I did the same with the distance formula, which is grabbing x2 and x1 and subtracting them and multiplying them to the second power, and the same with y2 and y1. And after that, I needed to add them and from the answer get the square root, which was this one. And for midpoint, I did the same. I needed to add x1 and x2 and y1 and y2, divide them by 2, and that was the answer. And we went from Arkansas to Mississippi. This road trip was diagonal alike, and the total distance was of 4.24 units, the equivalent to 212 miles, and the midpoint where we had gas was 5.5, 3.5. For day 4 and day 5, I did exactly the same. I started now in Mississippi and went to Alabama and wrote x1 and y1, x2 and y2, did the same, add them, and divide them by 2, but this is for midpoint. and got the answer of midpoint, and for distance did the same as the other problems. And from Mississippi to Alabama, and the total distance was 4.12, the equivalent to 106 miles. When we stopped to get gas and food, it was in the exact border of them, and the midpoint was 9,2.5. And that's the answer for those. And for the last one, I did Alabama to Tennessee. I calculated the distance, this minus this, and this minus this, and then I to the second power, add them the square root, and this is distance. Then to change it to miles, and then for midpoint, I added them, then divided them by 2, and got midpoint. And we went from Alabama to Tennessee, and the total distance was 200 miles. The midpoint where we had gas and food was at 11,5, but it fortunately wasn't in the border, so we were still at Alabama and at that time. So the midpoint wasn't in the middle of those states. It was still in Alabama. So that is the answer for my quiz. Thank you.